There is an immediacy to this wisdom, direct wisdom, always and already there. So this immediacy and removing the element of time. There is a description of time, not really as a dimension like space-time, but as an element, as an earth element. And removing that element of time, there is no longer any distance between where we are, what we are, and wisdom. So wisdom is always and already there. We are always and already there. And so it erases the separation. It erases time or space-time or anything that separates us from wisdom, including being human, including the journeys that we have made, including the parts of us that are still working on things or judging ourselves or judging others. When we merge with this kind of wisdom, as opposed to knowledge or becoming wise or all putting together all we have learned, all that other stuff disappears, and anything that is not direct wisdom falls away. And that's the effortless part. It falls away. It has nothing to cling to. What it would cling to is memories of where we've been, how we did it, how we learned it. It would cling to beliefs that we may still have. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. All of that falls away. And not that we won't have thoughts about it still in our human perception, but while we are in that direct merging of wisdom, there's nothing for all of that to cling to. There's nothing there. So including, like I said, time or space or the knowledge that we have gained. So there's nothing there. So what all these things have in common then, whether it's the gates or direct wisdom or mysticism, is the directness of it, the immediacy of it, instantaneous wisdom, if you want to call it that, even though it sounds too simple to have it be that way, really. And one of the ways that we can tell if that is our experience is that thought falls away too. Not exactly any thought, but thinking thought. The thinking that makes it seem, well, should I do that? Should I wait a little longer? Should I talk to somebody else? Should I wait and see what happens? That kind of thinking, and especially discursive thinking. And discursive thinking are all of those thoughts that come and go one after the other, that may or may not be related to each other at all. Those thoughts that come from one direction and are gone while the next one comes in. So that definitely is not present. And for the most part, it's a harmonious, radiant, transcendent wisdom. And other ways that I might describe it. So the closest words that we come to with this kind of a wisdom is a transcendent wisdom, radiant, unobstructed understanding. So there's almost like an instantaneous understanding of how things are. And because you see, because there's this understanding of how things are, there is no why questions. The why falls away too. Why and how, for the most part, fall away. What is still present? And so a lot of the questions fall away too. Another way that it's been described pretty accurately is unfabricated insight. So something that could not be made up, put together, cobbled together from our different thoughts and teachings and things. And that's where the arising part comes. And the simplicity of the sun rising no matter what, regardless if there's clouds. It's almost like when we go up in a plane and you take off and it's been rainy or foggy and terrible, and then the plane goes up above the cloud level at some point and you see the bright sun and blue sky. So it's like that, regardless of what presents itself, this wisdom is unobstructed in that way. One of the words for wisdom in Tibetan, this kind of wisdom, is rigpa, R-I-G-P-A, and in this, describing this kind of wisdom, the literal translation for it is not really standing under, like understanding the way we use it, but it's more like a basis for understanding. It's a standing by. It's a standing over. It's wisdom that is, it's like I say, always and already present. In this literal translation from Tibetan, it's always standing by. So it's always there. It's always standing over, always illuminating. It's a kind of, it's protection. They see it as protection as well, is another translation. A sovereignty is another translation. So without making it too conceptual, I'm trying to use the words that are as accurate as possible. And if we were to describe, so when we talk about people, I keep saying this is wisdom, but it's not the same as being a wise person or a wise being. So it doesn't exactly personify. It's not a wisdom that can be personified. We have access to this wisdom, we embody it, we transcend to it. But it's not the same thing as being a wise person. And yet we need words for this as well. And even though I try to avoid them, there are a few that I use from time to time. And so we are Homo sapiens. And the word sapiens, 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 has been translated at times to also mean wise or wisdom. So we are wise humans. Homo is human, and sapiens is wisdom. So that's one of the ways that it has been translated. Sapiens has several different original translations, of which sapiens or wisdom is the highest. The medium word to that, or the lower word to that, the medium word is astute. Human who is astute, knowing, which is sort of like before sapiens. The lower translation of that word is shrewd. So a shrewd human. So when we look at all of the scale of humanity, and we've talked a lot about that in this class as well, along that huge scale, we are in some ways shrewd. We are survivors. We know what to do to survive, and we are shrewd at times in order to survive or to make it or so. And then if we can go beyond that, we can become astute or knowing. And then the higher form of that is sapience, which can relate to this kind of wisdom as well. Another question that arises from that is, what is the difference between sentience and sapience? We say the earth or Gaia is sentient, and we say this kind of wisdom is sapience. So sentient is using or becoming aware of all of the senses at once, communicating an awareness through all sensory perception. So we describe Gaia, the earth, and all beings upon the earth as sentient as well. So sapience is both sentient and wisdom as well, which not all beings are. We do not apply sapience to the animal kingdom. We do not apply it to the plant kingdom, although what the plant kingdom offers us lends itself to sapience. And what the animal kingdom can teach us lends itself to sapience. So these two words are related, useful to us, and if we use them lightly, as soon as we try to personify these things, own them a little bit, manipulate them a little bit, give them other uses, we start to lose the purity that they offer us. So I use them, but lightly.